Alright, let's talk about ethical leadership, the last topic for today. Luckily, there's quite a bit of overlap between an ethical corporate culture and ethical leadership, since they are codependent. That means an ethical corporate culture requires an ethical leader. And the goals of an ethical leader is to create an ethical corporate culture. So first, I want to clarify why it is important that executives are ethical leaders. Kiel, a co-founder of KRW International, a leadership consulting company in Minneapolis, sent out anonymous surveys to employees at 84 US companies and non-for-profits, asking for how consistently their CEO and leaders displayed integrity, responsibility, forgiveness, and compassion. These 4 moral principles were derived from Donald Brown's behavior inventory that lists approximately 500 behaviors and characteristics that are recognized and displayed in all humans across the world. So Kiel then called the top 10 executives whose employees rated them very highly on all those 4 moral principles virtuoso CEOs. They stand up for what is right, express concerns for the common good, let go of mistakes, and show empathy. On the other hand, Kiel called the top 10 executives who scored the lowest self-focused CEOs. They were described as manipulating the truth for personal gain and caring mostly about themselves and their own financial security, no matter the cost to others. Kiel also quoted employees who experienced those CEOs, and they said that their CEOs told the truth slightly more than half the time, could not be trusted to keep promises, often passed off blame to others, frequently punished well-intentioned people for making mistakes, and were especially bad at caring for people. I think it's obvious that virtuoso CEOs receive higher employee ratings, but did their companies actually perform better? Luckily, the answer is yes. Not only did virtuoso CEOs receive higher employee ratings for vision, strategy, focus, accountability, and executive team character, but their average return on assets over a 2-year period was 9.35%, nearly 5 times higher than those with low character ratings. Their return on investment averaged around 1.93%. Now that we know a few benefits of ethical leaders, let's review Freeman and Stewart. This paper on developing ethical leadership does an excellent job defining ethical leaders and, in addition, describing how to become or develop ethical leaders. So let's get started with the characteristics of an ethical leader. Well, ethical leaders are members of their own organization and stakeholder groups. Their purpose, vision, and values are for the benefit of the entire organization and its key stakeholders. Ethical leaders see their constituents as not just followers, but rather as stakeholders striving to achieve the same common purpose, vision, and values. Their constituents have their own individuality and autonomy, which must be respected to maintain a moral community. Ethical leaders embody the purpose, vision, and values of the organization and of their constituents. They connect the goals of the organization with the goals of the internal employees and external stakeholders. Ethical leaders work to create an open, two-way communication and are open to others' opinions and ideas because they know that those ideas can make the organization they lead even better. Based on this rather lengthy definition of ethical leadership, Freeman and Stewart identified 8 characteristics of ethical leaders. So first, ethical leaders have to communicate and represent the purpose, vision, and values of the organization. That means that today, CEOs have to be ethical role models for all of society as they live in fishbowls and are on public display. Next, ethical leaders have to recognize that value is in the success of the people in the organization and therefore focus on the goals and dreams of the organization to be successful rather than personal goals. Third, ethical leaders need to find the best people and develop them. This process of finding the best people cannot solely focus on performance, but has to take the applicant's character into account. Once employees are hired, ethical leaders need to help them lead better lives that create more value for themselves and for others. Next, ethical leaders need to create a living conversation about ethics, values, and the creation of value for stakeholders. Having a living conversation means that employees are educated about the alternatives, but choose the action that is in line with the organization's mission, vision, and values because it is important to them. Employees do not simply take orders, but make informed decisions. Ethical leaders create explicit mechanism for dissent that allows employees to push back if they don't think that a particular process or order is ethical. Such mechanisms of dissent can include anonymous emails and telephone processes or skip-level meetings. Ethical leaders also need to create an understanding of others' values. They need to create an open, two-way conversation by encouraging different views, values, and opinions. They need to understand why different people make different choices, but still have a strong grasp on what they would do and why. Ethical leaders need to consistently unite doing the right thing and doing the right thing for the business. This is not an easy task and requires to make tough calls. Simply saying, I'm doing this for the business, or this is in the best interest for the business, is no longer a valid excuse. Finally, ethical leaders need to frame actions in ethical terms. They need to understand that acting or leading a certain way will have effects on their character and the character of others. That was quite the handful, wasn't it? Now that you know who ethical leaders are, think for a minute and see if you know someone who you consider to be an ethical leader. Does he or she display all 8 characteristics? Is there something else they do that was not covered by Freeman and Stewart? Well, that is it again for this week. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and as I said at the beginning, please let me know if you have any questions, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our online discussion. Have a wonderful day.